Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. First item on the work session is the winter recreation programs for 2019. Amy?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. I'm here to promote the 6th annual Hub City 100 Miler. Obviously, I have the t-shirt on and brought some staff members with me to promote the initiative, which actually coincides with your goals and priorities to continue to develop and expand programs through our division to promote and increase activity and healthy living. So this is our 6th year. Our first year we registered 650 participants in the program. Last year we had 1,600. We're hoping this year we have a few hundred more. We're recruiting businesses to sponsor their employees as part of their wellness initiative. And obviously we're reaching out to members in the community to take the challenge to do 1 mile a day for 100 days. What's unique about the program, what's great about the program is it's for any fitness level. It's great for beginners. It's great for those who aren't sure, how to implement health and fitness into their everyday lives. So you can walk a mile, you can run a mile, you can do 20 minutes of physical activity that counts as a mile in this program. And a fun part of the program too is that we give away weekly prizes and grand prizes. So we'd love for you all to participate in the program this year. The city is a sponsor through their wellness committee. And we'd love for you to help us endorse the program, get your family and friends to register for the 100 Miler, and we'd love to see it just continue to grow. It's our biggest initiative through Parks and Rec. We're looking at adding on additional challenges after the 100 Miler is over, and our kickoff is January 18th, and it goes for 100 days until April. So we just wanted to share that with you, and again, hope you...
So how does a mile a day work? If I run 7 miles, can I take the week off?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, because this year we have had a lot of folks who exceed their daily mile, and we are offering a medal this year. So if you do more than a mile a day, you can sign up for our 100 Miles More program, and you get a medal at the end of the program. So technically, we still want you moving every day, but you can take a couple days off if you're, exceeding your miles. So good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walking around the car lot for 3 miles every day, 5 days a week.
That counts. Yep.
Okay.
Do you have a tracker? Do you have a Fitbit?
I have it on my phone, actually.
Yeah. Yep.
And what you can do, you can link the Fitbit to our Challenge Runner app that's on our website. So it automatically will calculate your steps and it'll give you your mile for that day. And it's self-reporting, so it's really up to you to put the work in. And we draw prizes every week, and we just ask you to turn in your mileage tracking form, and if you're showing us you're doing your miles, you can claim your prize.
I have a paint shaker and the paint hanger. I'll just put the Fitbit on it.
We did want to share our commercial that we're running at Leitersburg Cinema, too, for the 100 Miler. Eric's going to cue that up. Okay. And while he does, I just wanted to share, too, in the packet, we also have our Fit Room schedule for the Fairgrounds Park, all of our classes this winter that we're offering, which is anything from CPR and first aid to family fun karaoke night. We have our new popular anti-gravity fitness classes, which are the ribbons hanging from the rafters in the Fit Room on the picture there. And then we have belly dancing, hip hop soul, and a lot of new classes that we're offering, and we hope to continue to expand those in the Fit Room. And as our parks open this season, we hope to offer some new outdoor programs. So,
Cool.
Betty, thank you. So I just want to thank Wes and Eric for putting that video together. And you can register with Fido. If you register with your dog, you get a doggy bandana in addition to your t-shirt. So your dog can get their miles in too.
Cool.
But we did have some, We did have some shirts printed for you guys for the meeting.
Awesome.
We'd love, like I said, we'd love for you to register.
How come me and Lou got separate? What's up with that? We got like the extra large. Is that what we got? Yeah.
I had the right size.
No, I think we got your correct sizes.
Uh,
And if you'd be up for it, we'd love for you to get in a group photo and hold the shirt in front of you or put it on for a group photo before we go. Okay.
Serious, what is that? Last time it was fun, two of them. I got two shirts, they were both extra large.
Thank you.
Works. Are you willing to do the photo now before we go? Okay, great. Thank you.
Kristen loves photos. It's fun to watch.
Yes, he does.
It's fun to watch. Rodney? Yeah, as long as I'm in the back.
There, you got something to keep you warm.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put it on, just pour it up.
Yeah, you do really
This looks good.
Does look good.
Don't put me in the front though,
What do you mean?
because I'm wearing a dress and this shirt, it looks ridiculous.
Does look good.
I'm not
Good, looks ridiculous. What you-
ridiculous
Okay.
with the dress. What? Here, I'll take this one.
Can we just spread out?
Can we go low? You go low. You want these chairs down too? There now.
Can we tighten up the group?
You can tighten up.
Yeah, 'cause my socks will show. They don't match.
Little bit. What do we think? Can you come up now a little bit?
Yeah.
Put Austin behind you?
Yep.
Perfect. There we go. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And let's do one more for safety. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna grab one with the camera.
He's been on one since 3 o'clock.
My God, bigger hand, right in my face. Nobody can see.
Like that's where his hand was.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Good smiles. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Wishing you a happy 100 miles and more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Yep, it's right in order. Thank you.
All right, we're scratching the USA Cycling update for tonight. And recommended name for new signature event. Kitty,
I'm here.
up there you
Good
are.
afternoon.
Sneaky.
So, yes, the time has come to name what we just keep calling the June 19 signature event, and it's not a very compelling name anymore. It's worked for a while. So we're here to get direction from you on a name. We need a name, obviously, to begin the marketing of the event, and people are starting to ask. They're like, I hear you're doing something, what is it? So time is of the essence to sort of get going on development of logo, graphic design, calendar listings, and just get our own website updated. So since October, when you directed us to plan programming over 4 consecutive weekends in June, we have been working out some of the details of this new event. We've convened a music advisory group to help in the selection of musical artists. We had an open call for musicians and received over 100 entries from local, regional, and some national bands. The music advisory group is meeting later this week to sort of start discussing what our options might be and what it might look like in terms of the music programming. And we've begun to identify and discuss with other artists how they could be part of our programming. So we're well on our way. In brainstorming possible names for the event, we took into consideration ideas that were generated when we met with stakeholders in the summer. So some of the words and ideas included new, progressive, diversity, inclusive, celebrate what is great here in Hagerstown, respect the past, and offer more than just music and more than just one type of music. So we're presenting 3 options for consideration today. They're outlined in your memo. One is the new Hub City Arts and Culture Festival, which would reflect that Hagerstown is in a state of transformation. It uses the city's longtime nickname, but also focuses on the city's evolution to becoming the new Hub City. Uses the terms arts and culture, which is inclusive and allows for a variety of offerings, including visual arts, spoken word dance, literature, food, history, and music. Second option would be the new Hub City Music and Arts Festival. And this variation specifically includes the words music, or the word music, which would make clear that music is a major component of the programming. And the third option is Celebrate or Imagine Hagerstown. And this variation has a call to action, inviting both artists and audience members to be involved in the celebrating or imagining, and also gets us away from what some might consider sort of the overused festival word or fest word. So at that juncture, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
How about Imagine Hagerstown's Music and Arts Festival?
Yeah, I was thinking combining B and C, like for the marketing part, you could say celebrate Hagerstown at the New Hub City Music and Arts Festival.
I just think if you want to get a catchphrase, when you start getting into those many words, you use it. I think celebrate Hagerstown is great.
I like Imagine. Or
And
Imagine Hagerstown.
Imagine also has, and I also would tell you this, whoever was doing the banners, maybe we should let them know celebrate Hagerstown, imagine Hagerstown, sound like good things on banners versus what we saw before. I like both of those ideas.
Did we talk about, we said something about Hagerfest one time or something?
Sounds too much like Hangerfest,
Hangerfest, yeah, okay.
to me, at least.
I like B. I like Celebrate Hagerstown and Imagine Hagerstown as a hashtag or a catchphrase or something for our city, but I don't necessarily think it's appropriate for this, the title of this, of a festival, of a music and arts festival. I like it for something a lot. I really like Imagine Hagerstown. I don't know about the name of a music and arts festival, though. I feel like if you're gonna be searching for something to do on a weekend and you see Imagine Hagerstown, that's not gonna capture like, oh, that's a festival I could go to.
Which is why the word festival in it probably is a little more important. I like the word culture, personally.
I do too. I just think it's, music is important
I
too.
do too.
Maybe music and culture.
Music and culture?
I mean, I think that the use of the word Hagerstown is broad. I feel like it'll have folks sort of asking where. And I feel like for too long, we've treated downtown like this dirty word, even though we all say it all the time. And we all recognize that's where we want folks to come back to. And I think to make it family inclusive and not a type of art specific, that we use the word art. For me, I like Imagine Downtown Art Fest, simply because I feel like we're telling folks to come back down, to imagine this differently than how you remember it or how you perceive it or how, it's been told to you. That's just my 2 cents.
I do like the word imagine too, and could be tied into the future if we start here and used it into the marketing that we've been talking about, the positivity, and it's almost like here's where we start.
It's arts and music.
Do you not like the word culture?
I don't want culture at all. Just trying to figure out.
Okay,
how
Imagine
many words you
Hagerstown
put in.
Music and Culture Festival? Is that too many words?
We
It's
got-
too many words.
Yeah, it's too many words. Too many words.
Then it'll become another acronym. We don't need
No,
another one.
no,
Yes,
no, no.
That's the other thing,
Yeah.
is like checking what the
Yeah,
acronym
yeah.
is key.
In terms of the people that are gonna be here, it's gonna be primarily music, right? Or how?
I would say music is I think, going to be an anchor of the event, but I'm definitely trying to get spoken word in and some movement artists and get visual artists
Okay.
out on the cultural trail doing stuff. So I don't want to exclude,
Right.
right?
Is there any way to involve the community in like a poll of some sort to
On the name?
On the name, to get some community, no.
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
I don't
anything's
know how,
possible.
yeah.
Well, you have time.
The time is,
time.
I'm a little concerned about the time. That's my only issue.
Okay, okay.
As I've been saying to people, planning and booking and naming a festival simultaneously is a new challenge. A good one, but new.
Man, I'm usually good at this. Oh,
Imagine Hagerstown Cultural Festival. I mean, it's gonna be more than just music and more than spoken word, more than visual things.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard
I
to
just
figure out
like
how you get-
Imagine Hagerstown for more than just this. I feel like I think New Hub City is appropriate for a musical event. I just like Imagine Hagerstown for more than just this festival. Like, if we all like Imagine Hagerstown, then maybe that should be like our, when we've been talking about
Right.
marketing and branding
Image,
and that kind of
branding,
thing.
right, which was what I was
So I
saying,
don't
like, if
wanna-
you put that in here, the Imagine Festival, which sounds terrible, actually, now that I say it out loud. It sounded so good up here. It did, it really did.
I liked New Hub City,
Music and Arts Festival.
yeah,
Or music and cultural festival.
New Hub
I
City.
really like the
Cultural-
word culture.
New Hub City Cultural Festival?
Is that all
Well,
inclusive?
the first one is New Hub City Arts and Culture Festival. If we just want to replace music with arts, it would be New Hub City Music and Culture Festival.
New
And that
Hub
would work.
City.
I mean, culture kind of encompasses pretty much everything, right?
Yeah,
New Hub City
Does it?
Music and Culture Festival?
what's the word culture? Google it. I'm gonna look at the word culture. Culture is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively.
Thank you, Marion Webster.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing word.
Emily has an idea.
You know,
Oh.
it's just thinking outside of the box. Hagerstown, a month of arts and music, or a month of culture and music. I mean, all the name brands we put on it don't really, you know, Western Maryland Blues Fest tells you what's going on. It's a blues festival, and it's gonna be held on this stage at this time. I'm just thinking about something that tells the community this is a month-long event, because that's what we're dealing with, right? It's not going to be a festival. And if we try to market it as a festival, we're marketing this thing as, we call it the new this. What we're doing is we're saying we've replaced the Blues Fest with this. And what I'm seeing is we have not replaced the Blues Festival with this. We've gotten rid of the Blues Festival, and we are doing this year a month-long celebration of Hagerstown. It's music, it's culture, it's arts, however you want to word it. But I think if we don't get somewhere to the tune of people that this is a month-long thing going on, that people are going to want to know what weekend it is, what day it is, versus what month is it. You know, imagine Hagerstown, a month of cultural and music. I'm just trying to think of how we can sell, when we sell this, that we have a month-long thing going on.
I do like that. Imagine Hagerstown, imagine a month of culture and music.
One
Culture
comment that I
and
did get from when I brought up the schedule to the music advisory committee, for lack of a better word, they had concerns with the word festival because they said exactly what you said. They're like, but it's not just 2
Right.
days. It's like 4 weekends, so it's
And
not.
I think we need to, I think somewhere in there, we need to have that it's a month-long festival. That way, every time it's mentioned, we're letting everybody know you got the whole month to celebrate with us, to come to Hagerstown.
Is it still happening?
Imagine Hagerstown, a month-long celebration of,
Culture and music, or just a month-long celebration of culture. But I think you want music in there because you want to make sure people know it's going to be music. Kristen's thinking.
Well, I just asked a question, so is Is Wine Down Friday still happening?
Wine Down Friday is not still happening. And Jessica told
So why are we
her
reinventing?
committee, but I don't know that she's made it public yet.
Yeah, she sent it.
Did she send it? Okay.
I don't feel
I
it.
mean, I don't know. I just have a curiosity why we're reinventing something. That was a fairly successful terminology, just fairly successful sort of,
These are whole
summer-oriented weekend events.
Because that was Wind Down Friday, you're saying
I-
Wind Down,
Well, I mean,
It's
you're
gonna
doing
be
the,
for 4
you're doing the
weekends.
same thing. Yeah, but Wine Down Friday was several weekends through the course of the summer.
But it wasn't 4 consecutive weekends all
Well.
surrounding one. But if you call Wind Down Fridays, we're gonna have 4
Music.
Wind Down Fridays, but we're not, we're having Wind Down weekends. I mean, you could call it that, but again, I think you're trying to attract a group of people above and beyond just the people that know Wind Down Fridays.
I actually personally think it's a good idea to put either Hagerstown or some Hub City reference to there so people know you have to go to Hagerstown for this event to happen.
Imagine
Hub
Hagerstown,
City June
a
Fest.
month of music and culture. Just imagine Hagerstown.
And we have Imagine Hagerstown, if that becomes a new
You can still
branding,
use
and
that as
everything
your
can start that
brand.
way.
Yeah, I like
Fair,
You know,
gala,
you can have
carnival,
Imagine
fiesta.
Hagerstown 30 days of
What?
this, and you can have
looked up
sub-things.
festivals.
Imagine Hagerstown Saturday
Percent
with
in it.
this or with that. I think it works perfectly, and I think it's a
Gala.
good brand.
can't do that.
Festivities.
Who?
We can also,
No, but use June instead of a month, like you point out the month of, June Fest or June something.
Hagerstock.
Oh, my gosh.
is that what you're whispering back there? Hagerstock.
Hager's
It's
Gate.
funny.
Not my idea.
Well, decisions gotta be made.
Imagine Hagerstown.
A month of music and culture, it just rolls off your tongue.
That's what I've got, write down. Imagine Hagerstown, a month of music and culture. Shelley, you look concerned.
It's not a whole month.
That's
right?
like
You're
a
not
s-
doing
that's a
anything every
state
day.
I'm usually
It's
good at
not a-
this. I'm so disappointed in myself right now.
Yeah, that's
It's not a
that's
title,
like
it's
a
just
thing.
a.
You should be.
I am. She said I'm disappointed in
I'm
myself.
usually really
But
good
I am
at
too.
this. I'm usually so good at this.
Fair enough.
What's your problem? You don't like Hub City?
I don't like the term Hub City.
We didn't, it isn't in that, right? No.
No.
I'm from a New Hub City Arts and Music
I
Festival.
like the term downtown. I've always liked that term.
I mean, we do say
I just-
downtown Hagerstown all the time.
Yeah, it's
All the
'cause of
time.
Where we want people to come and experience that stuff and see the arts trails different, than,
Downtown
I don't know.
music and culture. Shindig.
I guess for me, like, I'm constantly cognizant and aware of trying to make, and maybe it's just a personal thing, like trying to make my kids see it differently than, like, I'm always conscious of making sure that they have a view of it differently. than-
Well, I just think it's important that we all remember that all we're looking for now is some name to name this thing, that it is going to be just like Western Maryland Blues Fest, If all you ever did was advertise Western Maryland Blues Fest, nobody would come because they have no idea where or when, So this is a name that is going to have next to it and everything, what it is, who's going to be there, when it's going to be there. And it's a statement, what we've come up with, it says what's going on.
And it could be, if I can put in this, I mean, the reason we need a name is so we can get started on the graphics. It could be that a good graphic designer would be able to imply downtown
Yeah. There's a
with
million
use of
things.
great graphics.
What'd you say again, a month-long celebration of music and arts?
Return for culture and music.
That's
That
like
sounds great.
That's like
Sounds like a novel.
a
Let's
thesis
just use it.
statement. Not a title.
I had just a month of music and culture.
That sounds,
Didn't have the celebration part in there.
What?
I'm good. I agree.
Imagine Hagerstown, yeah, a month of
I
music.
don't
and
just
culture.
Done
make
in
it
town.
New Hub City music
We're gonna
and
sleep
culture.
I like that, Lou.
A month of music and culture?
Whatever you say.
Is that sustainable to like go into like 3 years to come?
Well, I think at the very least,
Just won't fit on a
it
budget.
will work for 2019, and if it turns out that it's not getting the word out the way we want it, and people aren't understanding it properly, that we still have the build-up to 2020, which is what we're really working towards, right? To refine and tweak or do this again.
I do love the word imagine. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that
I like it.
that's,
Imagine Hagerstown, a month of music and culture.
well, and, I mean, you said it up here, it said a state of transformation, so, you know,
So you got
it's just the
three
beginning.
votes for it? 3 votes for it.
We're good? Shelley looks very
I am, I'm
unresolved
very-
about it.
Nope, not my favorite, but I will be happy to say.
Well,
Were
you
you the third or
haven't
the third?
presented anything that
You
everybody
said you're the
has
third.
jumped
No,
on.
I thought you said you had 3. Yeah.
No,
Are
so-
you?
So we
No,
don't have
you get rid of the
3
word
votes.
culture and I'm good.
Okay.
Get rid of the word culture?
I just think that's an odd word.
Because you don't like to say it?
No, it's just odd.
You like arts
Very
better?
nebulous.
How about just a month of celebration?
A month-long festival. Ugh.
That sounds very Roman. Right, I mean.
Everything I say, I don't
Wait
even
for like
like.
the gladiators to come out.
I don't mind a month of celebration. I don't hate that. I mean,
A month
Or,
of
if
celebration.
you don't
I just
like
think it should
culture,
be
a month
shorter
of
than
arts
what-
and music.
Yeah, arts and music.
Arts and music, yeah.
I mean, that's,
I don't think you have to have culture in there.
Yeah, I like that.
okay, well, you like that? Can we
month
do
of
that one,
arts
a
and
month
music.
of arts and
The
music?
guys have given up.
Music
We
and
get
arts or
3
arts and
votes if the
music?
guys
No,
put
I
the
know,
default-
and you guys are actually selecting this, this cannot happen. No, no.
Well, then
Donna
all I
likes
can
it.
say
We have
is, please
spent
come
back
up
our
with
meeting,
something else. I mean,
ideas.
I have
I'm
no
good with what you
problems
just
with most anything, but,
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
arts and music, not music and arts. Okay?
Imagine Hagerstown, a month of arts and music.
Of arts and music. Right?
I don't love it.
Well, you know,
Well, then tell us something you love.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I was okay with, I was okay with New Hub City.
Hub
Music and
City.
culture
How many hub cities, did you not read that in there?
There's a
But
lot of hub
new.
cities, but there's no new hub city until us.
Oh.
We would be the first,
Be the first new hub city.
according to.
Again, I love Imagine Hagerstown. I just don't, I don't know if that is a name for this festival, but
That's why I like downtown.
It's a good.
Imagine downtown.
I like that word.
I love the word downtown.
We use it all the time, you said.
We do. We say it a lot. Downtown Hagerstown, downtown Hagerstown, downtown.
Kitty was
Hagerstown.
pretty specific in advertising that she used.
But I still like the tagline added, which was, I don't know what you said. Arts and-
yeah, a month of arts and music, that's,
Imagine Hagerstown, a month of arts and music.
Downtown.
Downtown's
In the
gonna
new
be
hub city.
quiet.
Let's just make it a
Use
book.
every word. That'd be great.
we could call it the replacement for the Blues Festival.
We just call it that.
I would just call it like,
This is not the Western Maryland Blues Fest.
Not the Western Maryland.
Blues Fest Part 2.
or we could use like some acronym like the UIP.
Oh my God, guys, we've been on this subject. for
It happens all the time. We will spend less time figuring out how to spend $10 million if we do this.
Yeah, really.
oh
Go
man.
with like a half a dozen.
Imagine Hagerstown, a month of arts and music. Downtown.
I like how that sounds.
I think that's great, and I think if we don't have 3 people that like that a whole lot, that we should give them 24 hours to come up with
Yes.
something.
All
That
right.
3 people can vote yes on.
Yes,
good.
give me 24 hours.
All right.
Yeah, yes. I vote for
Go ahead.
that.
I'll give Shelley 24 hours if she.
And if I can't come up with something better in 24 hours, then that's what we'll go with, that terrible name of the event.
And that would
Not
be
terrible.
Imagine Hagerstown, a month of arts and music.
Yes.
Downtown.
In the new hub city.
As a replacement for the old Blues Fest.
On the weekends.
Only weekends, not the full
And
month.
don't confuse with wind down, not it.
Okay.
Okay.
Shelley has 24 hours.
Shelley,
All right.
we look forward to
Okay.
hearing from you.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
on.
By 4:30 tomorrow, Shelley.
Yeah, 4:30
Okay.
tomorrow.
With 2 other votes.
Okay. Look, I'm writing it down, 4:30.
Turn my phone off.
And because 3 guys liked it,
Oh, that's definitely
Yeah,
the biggest
yeah.
Like
reason. Good luck.
Man.
that was
Well, I think,
Veterans Council.
I think it's a great idea. It's a long time coming.
I do too. For real?
What?
The Hagerstown Get Down.
All right.
I like
Get
it.
it done.
Fiscal year 19 CDBG action plan amendment for new projects.
I'm in.
You guys have something exciting for us? Not as exciting as
Not
that.
as exciting as the,
Well, actually, the Medal of Honor triangle is exciting.
So-
I hope that we really do a nice job with that.
in the process of budgeting and looking at fiscal year 20's budget, we're also looking at fiscal year 19's budget. For the CDBG program, Rodney has some projects that are ongoing and are moving well, but it looks like we're going to have some unexpended funding at the end of two of Rodney's projects. Crosswalk improvement projects that are in the process of being completed right now would be the Salem Avenue and Linganore Avenue intersection improvement project, and also the Mulberry Street and Antietam Street intersection improvement project. Those projects are probably set to wrap up in early spring, and at this point, most of the work is complete, and we're looking at a savings of roughly $40,000 between both of those CDBG-funded projects. And also, in probably about 6 to 7 weeks, we're looking at settlement of the Roslyn building, which will also inject about $200,000 of program income into the CDBG budget. Each year, we do anticipate some program income. With the Roslyn building sale, it would be about $100,000 of unbudgeted CDBG program income for fiscal year 19. So that means we have about $140,000 of CDBG funding that requires a CDBG amendment to allocate to new activities. And Rodney can maybe touch on some of the new activities that we're possibly looking at there. One is the Medal of Honor Triangle, where Jonathan Street and Pennsylvania Avenue come together. And then the other activity would be some ADA improvements at various parks. So Rodney, if you want to maybe talk about the projects in more detail.
The Medal of Honor is the highest and most prestigious award that a military person can win, as I understand it. So Mr. Wilson that was given that award, that triangle was named in that honor. We updated it when we did the streetscape on Jonathan Street, but I think what we're proposing here is probably just to punch it up another notch. Some of the signs that are now 10, 15 years old are looking a little worn and outdated. We want to update some of the landscaping, put in a small plaza, a small bench, just kind of a focal point, if you will, and just upgrade the signage and just improve it to really take it up to the level that it should be for that level of distinguished honor. So it's $70,000, about $7,000 of it for design, and the rest would be for those upgrades.
I like the idea of benches and some more open space there. And the central evergreen is
Yeah.
so huge. Is it, can it be trimmed back without killing it, or is it, it's just?
I don't think so.
It's
Eric
like-
and I have talked about that. Eric has more expertise than I do on trees, but since it's an evergreen, if we trim it back, it probably is not gonna look very good. It probably should be replaced. And that was a complaint I got from the Neighborhood First group, is they said it's just outgrown the space.
It has.
And,
It's like
Yeah,
encompassed the
it's
signs.
frustrating every Memorial Day and Veterans Day when we come out there and lay a wreath. It's always looking at that triangle and thinking, as you articulated, that it's really not up to what it should be. And I highly commend everybody for getting it. I would just say we should really try to do a really nice job. And I also, whether it's this particular evergreen or whatever else is there, I thought this would be one of those potentially perfect places when we talk about putting in permanent white lighting trees, that could be a potential very nice place to do that at.
Okay, like all season.
Yeah, all season, all white. If you've ever been to Vail or a lot of places, it's a really an attractive thing. It brings a lot of attention to it. But yeah, and part of the problems with that evergreen is then it takes away the ability for the landscaping. It's hard to grow grass there, and then it starts looking shoddy, and it just, so yeah.
I would say
anything
now's the
you
time.
offer-
If we want to take it down, let's
Yeah.
take it down now, put something back
Yeah.
there, and then we can.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, either a tree that's lit
Yeah.
like that, or a monument, but something.
Okay.
Good job, thank you, guys.
What do you plan on doing in this location?
That is the area where, sketch.
So I'm looking at the sketch, and the.
So right on the point, we would have a bed of flowers, perennials. Hopefully, the neighborhood group would work with us on that to do that. But then sitting right behind that then would be kind of a bench wall that maybe would even have engraved on it Medal of Honor, something
But-
significant.
What's the greenery here?
Should bring my glasses.
Shrub lower planting.
It looks like it's it looks like it's identifying shrubs and lower planting.
Yeah, kind of as a green backdrop to the flowers.
And then key is the bench, so it goes.
Yes.
It goes like a accent seasonal planting, and then a lower shrub, and then a seat,
The bench
seating.
would be behind that, and that's where the engraving would be.
As many times as I've seen that in the city, I used the Virginia Avenue overpass as an example, down from that. The one out here, and I have this in the town I work in as well, but the notion of putting flowers in there is always a great notion, and even that shrubbery, but over time, it just doesn't, it doesn't hold its maintenance
Right.
level.
Right. You're never done.
And,
Work at Park Circle, but.
and I just
We
look
have
at
a
that
group of
and.
people that actively maintain that, yeah.
But the reality is, I found that the grass, frankly, is better aesthetically, over a period of time than that attempt. I get what you're saying, but you've already got a fairly busy number of signs here.
Yes.
And things, and I mean, that's
Just
that's
for
sort of how
traffic.
I see it every time I go by, is it looks sort of like that where, it's an area of space, and as soon as all this sort of blocks it, it's just a triangle that you're going past. And all I'm saying is, any way where you get the view shed to look into the space, and a good example is how open you've made the south end of the cultural trail where you got the tall lighting. You took so much vegetation out of there and made it very grass oriented that now it looks like something. All I'm saying is I would rethink blocking it off. Because when cars get to that point, they want to accelerate and sort of get past it.
You just don't notice it.
And you're by before you even realize that all you've passed is a break in the road.
We really just see the restore there.
Yeah, the bottom
honestly.
line is, right now, if you're traveling down Jonathan Street, you don't have any idea
No.
what this is, other than in a traffic island.
Like,
And
I feel like it
I
should
think
go
the
from,
whole
like, smaller
concept
to
is,
bigger.
that we want this to be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it should be sort of low to high as it goes toward the back of that triangle, so it looks like the back is like the backdrop to something.
Right.
And not the front, the blocking of something.
Okay.
Just,
So what you don't want is like just overgrown vegetation in the front there ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to.
Yeah.
I don't at all.
I agree.
like, I want to be able to see it, and I think
Yeah.
that
No,
at
that's
times
the
what'll
Medal of Honor
happen,
triangle.
like I
Yeah.
said, I look at Virginia Avenue overpass, those triangles, to me, I mean, once they're overgrown, and there's no catching up, at that point during
I would agree
some of the
with Kristen.
seasonal.
And that's an example of what happens eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. It looked great when we did it.
Right.
Or the bushes that were taken out at
But
City
just
Park, I
everything-
mean, that's
Yeah,
another,
and that's
Yeah,
the
landscaping
example of
never
that.
is finished.
I want to be able
Yeah.
to see in.
Okay,
I agree.
got it.
Plus, that's a good bailout point when you're biking down Jonathan Street and you want to go toward Forest Drive and somebody's coming up on your right, you can bail out across.
So exercise.
So then the other one is, in several of our parks, we don't have any ADA compliant benches in our parks. So what we propose is adding these in most places, not taking anything away, that are ADA compliant. And by ADA compliant, primarily it means that there is an ADA compliant path from the parking lot to the seating area, and then there's a place for handicapped individuals in wheelchairs to be able to sit with their companion right beside them. And a lot of these parks that we have where our baseball teams and things are, there's never enough seating. So we would add these in most places. There's a couple that we're replacing that are just old and not compliant with any standards by today's world. So we're proposing to put these in several of our parks, and we list that in the memo.
So I understand the pathway and then the cutout there for wheelchair, scooter, or whatever. What's the railing?
I think it's
Or-
because where it's cut out, it's higher.
Oh, it's higher,
So that's
somebody could
protection for somebody from
nosedive off.
falling down
Okay,
across there.
yeah. Okay.
And this is just one example. There's some variations of ADA bleachers. That's just a possible.
I think this is important, so.
Yeah.
There would likely be some type of hard surface
Yes,
also
it would have to
construction
be that.
underneath.
That's hand in hand with putting these in.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So our next steps will be working with some CDBG process requirements where we have a brief comment period, because this is an amendment to the current plan. So we'll work on that concurrently with also seeking mayor and council approval, likely either a January regular session or maybe even earlier in February. It depends on the timing of the comment period. So that will come back soon for those amendment approvals.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion of parking rate structure.
Hello. Hi, how you doing? Yeah. New year, same subject.
Yep.
New Hub City parking.
Yeah.
Imagine parking in Hagerstown.
Right. That is, yep. Imagine parking. Yep.
Well, I'm here to answer any
Fun.
questions. It's really your discussion at this point. We didn't have anything new to offer. The last discussion, that I recall, the discussion was tabled, and so here we are. So I'm here to answer questions. I didn't really have anything new to bring, so.
I have two questions.
Okay.
And this stems from my position, and especially hearing from staff. Number one, that if we make a student rate, that it applies to all students, seems to be sort of what I hear, or what we've been told. And number two, that if that were to be the case and we were to consider the rates that have been proposed by one specific class of student, that it would have a detrimental fiscal impact to the stability of the parking fund. And so that was part and parcel to me, I guess, giving some thought to how we try and
Yeah.
address some of the concern that's been raised, and that brings up my two questions, which are, can we provide a discounted lot rate to students, which protects our decks, protects our any type of legal challenge over, special treatment, and provides greater flexibility for that user base, because we have more lots than we do
Sure.
decks, obviously.
If I can real quick.
Yeah.
So initially, it was only applying to the USMH students. And during our discussions over the last year about this whole subject, and it has been a year, we as staff felt it wasn't fair just to extend the rate only to university students. But one way to resolve that, you can say all students, but just have the rate at the university deck. Because the bulk rate that was approved by this council, or by a council in 1996, was just for initially the Rochester lot and the university deck. When the A&E deck was built, there was no bulk rates, there was nothing applied to that. So by applying you could say all students, but how we resolved that was just have it at the university deck. And we proposed that back in one of the many memos I've provided. To answer your question, yeah, we could have a discounted rate on parking in the lot. Yeah, we could do that. The issue is always they have to prove themselves, how they
Right.
prove themselves as being a student.
But I think we wouldn't go as low either. I mean,
I would hope not,
We've heard figures of like, $12.
Yeah,
Which just isn't feasible.
no, agreed.
So as I sent out, I propose, maybe we do just a lot rate. For those students that want to buy a 24/7, 365 type pass, I don't think
Won't
we.
be that many.
I don't think we ever intended it, you know what I mean, to apply in that manner for those students that were seeking it mainly for evening-type
Right.
hours at the time, you know, as the evolution of this occurred.
Yes.
So I'd propose, you know, maybe we look at like a $25, you know, rate, lot rate for those students, which again, aren't gonna be a huge amount, just for the lots, if they want that type of pass. But, so the second question, though, is, and this is sort of an effort to address the safety concern issues that we heard, and I know that there's probably gonna be some chagrin over this question, but the ability for after 5 o'clock for just the university deck to have the gate open till the morning.
Okay. So if you open the gate at 5 o'clock, what you'll have is people that are buying permits and parking all day and leaving at 5:01. They won't buy a pass, they'll just wait till 5:01 and then just drive out.
Yeah.
So they could park downtown all day for free. It won't just be students, it'll be anybody.
And you can't just leave
Now, if the
one gate
gates
up
are,
and
if the gates
one
are
gate
down and you have a rate of free after 5 o'clock, similar things could happen. You'd have to build a fee structure where they pay, if they came in, they would come in, like, say, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they would pay from 2 to 5, and then after 5, the rate would be 0, but they would still pay that amount.
Right.
Now, if you give a student a permit that only works at 5 o'clock, and they show up at 4:30, the permit won't work, that pass won't work.
That's right.
So what they do is they pull a ticket, so then they go in, and when they go to leave, they can't leave because they didn't use their pass to get in, they pulled a ticket. So they have to use a ticket, then what do they pay? You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
gets complicated when you start trying to manipulate a system that's not designed to do everything for everybody.
Do we know when evening classes start? I mean, or if we say 5 o'clock, because,
And I'll just remind you, this is how we got in this situation in the first place. We could, with the old programming, we were able to manipulate ourselves because it wasn't so proprietary. This is, and it also has so many safeguards on it because there have been so many issues with people stealing personal information. They've placed so many security measures on it. We can't even change the fee schedule anymore. We have to have help parking do that for us. There's just so many security features on it because they don't want people hacking into the system because we use credit cards so much. So we can't do certain things that we used to be able to do on these permits and stuff. But how we got this was, some of the students said, hey, I need a permit or a pass in the afternoon for 5 o'clock. Okay. Then it was, well, they want to get there at 4:30 because the class starts at 5. Okay, so every time we backed it up, it was just another exception to where it became a $15 or $10 a month for 24/7 because it never fit everybody. Okay, it works after 5, but I want to be there Saturday to use the library. Or it works after 5, but I want to come in on Monday to use the library. You see what I'm saying? It just got complicated, and then it just got out of hand because we just couldn't have 40 different passes to do 40 different things.
Okay, let me just make sure I
Yeah.
understand. After 5 o'clock, what is the regular fee for the parking?
After 4:30, it's 2 o'clock for all evening.
$2.
$2 for all evening, till
So
6
instead
o'clock
of buying your
tomorrow morning.
25 in the lot, you
you
could just
enter
pay
after
$2.
4:30.
Yeah, I mean, if you're entering
Okay.
after 4:30, I don't see what the issue is here, if it's $2. And if we were looking at supplying a deeply discounted, with the parking on the street after 5 is free, and how about in the lots?
Free,
Free.
after
Free,
5
it's
o'clock.
free.
So,
It's
I'm
free.
not
Why
sure
are you
what the
buying it to
problem
begin
is.
with?
I'm not sure what the problem is then. And I'm the first one that has said what I've said about the deck.
Yeah.
But I think I went to college at one time. I only wish that I could have parked the car, Doctor, as close to my classes as the central lot is for free. And
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
parking on the street is free.
Yes.
Now, that's evenings, okay? Daytime become a different issue. But I don't see what we're talking about evening students for at all. If evening students don't want to park free, let them pay $2 at the deck. That's about as simple as I can get.
And what
I
we
mean, again, I don't know of any college that has free parking as close as we do to the campus as we do, and $2 is doable. So I think the only thing that needs to be discussed is day students.
Okay.
Well, and I think that the $25, 365, 24/7 is
In lots.
Right, not the deck, you're saying.
not the deck.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, our decks didn't have the same competitive value that they do today. And if you want to apply 10 years ago sort of thought process of trying to address evening issues to a 10-year now, fast forward, more competitive, deck spacing to daytime students, I don't see the apples to apples there.
And the ratio of daytime and nighttime students changes over time also.
And if
At
the-
one point, it was 60-40, 60 at night and 40 during the day, and now I think it's around 50-50. That's a guess, based on what we've known and what we observed. So the ratio of daytime and nighttime students changes also. It could change next year. So you could try and say, well, we'll do this, and then next year it changes, the ratio changes, But what we've seen is, since June, when the resolution was passed with the new rates, and of course the fall semester, what we've seen is permit use has gone down a little bit, no question about it. But cash and credit card sales have definitely, we run an income statement every month. And this time last year, our cash sales, credit card sales at the UDEC was about $7,000. This time it was like 12. So what's happening is that we think the students are paying as they go. They pay for the time they need. They pay $1 an hour.
'Cause they
During the
don't
day,
need
it's
to carry the
$1 an
kids.
hour.
Yeah.
So if you're there for the day, 3 hours, you have say an hour and a half class,
Yeah, I mean, that's
you
what
get
I
there,
would do.
it's $3.
That's what I would do.
And you're not having class every day. Some students are, no question about it. There's some students that will always be there full-time and have classes 3-4 days a week. But a lot of students are only there 2 days a week, 3 days a week, evenings,
2 hours at a time.
2 hours at a
And I
time.
think the
So-
lot passes are reasonable.
So
At $25.
I don't have a problem.
I got the impression through some of the communications we've had
Yes.
that the current sale of passes or previous sale of passes that we were classifying as university students,
Yes,
they're not being extended to faculty.
that is correct. The faculty
Correct.
gets a bulk discount rate because they have more than 25 staff
Okay.
members. So they get it, right now, they're getting the bulk rate of 25% off that rate.
And that's the one we were talking about extending from the 3 to the 5 years, right? One of your proposals.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had
yeah.
where
The
we
bulk
extended
rate is something different than the student rate.
that we're actually gonna make the
Yeah,
business
correct.
and that rate
Correct.
better by
Phase out
going
over
to the.
5 years.
Yeah, the phase
Correct.
out over 5
Right.
instead of 3.
Right.
And I was fine with that.
And as of right now, with the way everything was passed, there has been no change in that bulk discount rate at all. It wasn't set to change anyway until
Right,
July
July
one,
of
right.
2019.
And I think
So we have
Kristen
time to
has-
touch
has
upon that.
identified a solution, and I think the solution is to give very reasonable 24/7, 365-day rates for the lots. We're not dealing with handicapped individuals. We're dealing with people who can walk half a block to a block. I see we're gonna have the housing for our PAs, and I think we're anticipating a lot of those folks are gonna walk from their housing to school versus getting in a car up on Antietam Street and driving. So I think that for the people that need inexpensive rates, that's very available if we do it through the lots. And it's treat the decks very differently, and I think you're right. Students that have 1 or 2 classes during the day, their cheapest route that they can go is just to do what everybody does, pay the hourly rates at the deck. Students who want very cheap rates, we can come up with a cheap rate for the lots, 24/7.
And I don't think that there is an awareness enough, and I'll tell you, every event we come to, we park at the Rochester lot.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think there's an awareness of the public in general, let alone students who aren't, typically from the area, so to speak, know that that is an available lot. And I can tell you, every event we come to, it's the easiest to get into, it's always got available parking, and it's always easy to get out of, right down Prospect and out.
Well,
And
I
for
can tell you
me,
the last few
that's-
years, I mean, there's been only a few times that the UD deck has actually been, I'll say, sold out during Blues Fest. And that was a number of
That's
years ago.
surprising.
Yes, because people from out of town come in and go, do I pay $5? No, I'll just find parking wherever and I'll walk to it.
Also,
They'll
a
just
lot of
walk to
people
it.
don't like decks, they like finding,
Yeah.
I have family who won't park in a parking deck.
I'm just saying that the lot pass gives you,
Yeah. And Rochester
greater
lot-
choice
Places,
around the
and
area.
it gives you inexpensive parking, which is what the university is saying that the students need. I absolutely concur, I absolutely think it should be done, and I just think we've been short-sighted in not realizing how much parking we have in the lots that are close to the university. I mean, including off Jonathan Street lots, I mean, they're very close.
Yeah, the
I
market.
say, I wish I had,
Market lot.
I wish it
Market
was
lot.
market
Walk
lot.
right through
I
the
wish
alley,
University of
yeah.
Maryland, when I lived there and had a car, I could park as close to the dormitory.
When you literally walk past Broadax and.
Right, you're there.
Yeah.
And you're
The
there.
lot
Yes.
passes right now, since we have old-style parking meters, that would have to be a pass that you put on your dash or clip to the.
It's a hang tag we have.
Hang tag.
That's
We
correct.
have them now, they're $50 a month for
Yep.
everybody else, right?
No.
So we
You
just
can buy
discount
monthly,
that.
right, there you go, you can buy monthly.
But you
buy-
can, the good thing about these is you can make them much more versatile than what you can do with the decks now.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because you don't have gates.
You can make
Yeah.
these whatever color you want and say whatever you want versus, as
Well,
you
you
said,
you
with
pay
the deck,
monthly
you just-
for them, and we have, where they're marked, we can identify them, and that
That
sort
would
of
be
thing.
an
So that's no problem.
all-student, that would be an all-student rate, $25 per month.
No, I can.
In any month.
Yeah.
So you hang the red one in your thing and they know, oh, okay, that's a student one.
So we'd make that in the Rochester lot, the Market lot, and the Central lot.
I'd say
Yeah,
any
to
lot.
me, I think.
Well, with the Antietam lot by the courthouse, the rates are higher, and it's
Yes,
very
yes,
small.
no,
okay?
you're right, no, you're right.
And it-
You
and
would
it-
have to exclude the.
Right, and the
lot,
Church
that's
Street
for sure.
lot is mostly already by contract
Is
to
it
the, yes, to
pretty
the
taxed?
social services, or
Okay.
Potomac Billing LLC is the name of the entity.
Okay.
So out of like 104 spaces there, or something like that, 96 are to them.
Okay, so
And they
you
use it
wanna
through the week.
exclude
So
them.
we'd have to, so, and that's why I wrote the proposal before, was our Rochester lot, Market lot, and Central lot, because those are the ones that are generally used by them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good option.
I think that's an option.
If it were me, I'd use
So the
Rochester.
rates in the deck would just stay the same as they are. The student rate would be the discount
It's
in
an
the,
ugly building.
in the lots. Is that
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
hearing?
how I see it.
Okay.
And then the bulk discount at the decks,
We have that to discuss later.
okay, that's later. All
Yeah,
right, this
because
is
that's
just
not
a
due to
student.
take place until July anyway.
Okay.
Right?
You want to talk about, we can talk about it now, I don't, it's fine.
You're on a roll.
I mean,
You're on a roll, let's
We're
go.
making progress, so might as
So
well.
what,
I'm just thinking, I'm in budget meetings.
My
I sat
problem-
there at budget, and Eric looks at me, I look at, we looked at Valerie.
My problem with having significant discussions about the bulk rates is, again, we had discussed having the stakeholders in on discussions. And I think those discussions need to be either between staff and those stakeholders or an executive session.
Well, they-
Because,
Excuse me, but they already did give a proposal, and the proposal that we actually gave in November was actually, they were phasing them out over 3 years. We actually phased them out over 5.
they were okay with that proposal?
Well,
Well,
it's
I'm not
richer
sure
than.
about that.
Well,
Well,
it's richer
yeah.
than what they
That I'm not sure
proposed.
about.
Right, I just
This is an
think,
assumption.
I just would like personally to meet with them to find out where they're
It's your
at.
prerogative, yeah.
yeah, our proposal was 10% over,
It just scaled it down over a 5-year period is what it was.
okay.
Yeah.
It's in your packet. We included in
Well,
November.
yeah,
I mean, the
was
bulk,
trying to-
just so you understand, the bulk rate isn't used by a whole lot of people. You have to have at least 10
You have to
people
qualify.
paid with, yeah, one invoice
Well,
or
and,
25.
I think we're
So-
really talking about the bank.
Yeah, and, phase it out, or I'll say it publicly, or keep it. I'm okay either way. If you see it as
Well,
an
but-
economic driver,
Yeah, but
Oh,
the reason
okay.
I bring it up, Eric, is when we were talking to the representative from the bank,
yes.
he seemed very reasonable to saying there are things we can do, but we would like input into it.
Sure.
And they talk about their business and the expenses. I don't think asking them about this in public session is necessarily the way to go with people who are talking about their finances and expansions and what they need and what they don't need. And whether it's that with us in executive session or with our staff, I don't care, but I would like to find out that we don't have happen what has already happened, which is we make the decision, then the people that are affected by it find out that we made it, and then they come in and say, won't you talk to us about it? And if we find out we have a position and they disagree with it, at least we know that. But it would be nice to be able to find out that we all come to some agreement. I I see Middle Town Valley Bank as a key player downtown. And I would just hate to act like we don't care. I'd like to get their input.
Understood. So if I understand correctly, so do I need to write a resolution for the end of this month to change the student parking to apply the discount? Be effective February 1 or something like that?
For the student, for the
The
lots.
student, for the
Yeah.
student
Lots,
lots.
yeah.
And I think
Okay.
you'll have to vote down the one that was tabled.
What's
I
that?
think you'll have to vote down the one that was tabled to bring it back, because it's not like a second reading on that one. I think it's gonna have to be.
Pull off the table and vote it down.
Were they just an amendment? Because we didn't mention lot rates at all before.
No, I don't think so either. We
I
didn't
think I
mention
probably have
it.
to vote that one down and vote it out to bring the new one, because it's just on the lot rates. I don't know. I'll do it however.
Oh, because it was
Just let me give me
introduced.
direction,
I'm
I'll
sorry.
write
Yeah, you
whatever.
got it.
Well, it was
Sorry.
tabled. It was
It was
tabled.
tabled. The one that was
so-
tabled, not the one we voted.
Right.
Yeah, the one that was
So it has to
tabled.
be removed from the table and then voted down, then
Okay.
the new one. So the new one will have no changes to the bulk rate at this time.
But that can all be done in
Yes.
one action, I mean, in one session, basically.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but if you want the student rate to be effective like in
Yeah.
February, you
Right.
have to do it in January.
Then you
That's
need
all
to do
I'm
that now.
suggesting, So,
Yes.
okay. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Administrator, any comments?
Feel good?
No, sir.
Shelley, any comments?
Yes, I was approached by Mike Kiefer, probably in 2018, I guess last year. And he would like us to entertain the possibility of visiting Hagerstown, Indiana. Many of their representatives have visited here, and he would like us, apparently Hagerstown, Indiana is having a community event from July.
Celebrate
Very good
Hagerstown.
question, very good question. I am going, yep, that might be my suggestion. It's the,
It is.
It
It's
is?
like the something Jubilee.
okay, that's so cute. Jubilee is
I
cute.
know.
July 22nd through the 25th, which is a Monday through a Thursday. So he would like the council and the mayor and whomever else would like to join to visit Hagerstown, Indiana, and participate in this community event. So what that means is, it falls on, there's a Tuesday involved in that, so we would either have to cancel the work session here or have a live broadcast from Hagerstown, Indiana for a council meeting. So, wanted to throw that out there. And as far as expenses, I would be willing to pay for it myself, not all of you guys, just mine.
Oh, no, I thought it was.
No, nope, not paying for everybody. But it can't be, I think it would be a good idea. I think it would, they've been here, it'd be nice for us to visit, and, I don't know. So, I told Mike I would propose it for a road trip.
They have an airport.
Oh, can we fly? Are you looking for that?
Yeah, I'm looking.
They're one near.
I'm coming.
Austin
Austin can fly us, can he?
That's what we're saying.
Wow.
Please.
Gonna ride on the wings.
Yeah, really.
That's considered a quorum, so we'd have to, so we'd have to,
Live stream.
we have to live stream the,
I'll be using the old National Road.
so, yes?
I have to check.
That just really means,
I already told him I would go, but for the
Why a whole
record, Delegate
week?
Quarterman was talked into this as well. Now, I witnessed it, so he's not getting out of this either.
so he's in. Yeah, he's going too.
What do they do? They're doing it for a whole week? Like-
July 22nd, which is, I guess, a Sunday, I think, Monday, through Thursday,
I knew there was some type of airport.
the 25th.
Yeah, they got one.
So the most important thing is that we would have to, cancel a work session in July, so.
What date
Do
did
we
you
have to be
say?
there all
July
week?
22nd.
No, we don't have to be there all week. No, no,
I'll be out
no.
of town.
I don't even know how far it is.
I will.
How far is it?
Yeah, I think.
Is that all you
Say
got?
it's somewhere around 8 hours.
That's all I have.
Lou?
I'll be out of town.
Nothing, happy New Year to everybody, and thanks for all these good words.
You're gonna mention that.
That was loud in the microphone. It was 6 hours.
It's 342 nautical miles, straight line.
6 hours.
How many
Austin.
people fit on an airplane?
Also, anything?
Yes, I just wanted to rehash or open up maybe for the next session, if we could talk about the sign ordinance again. I understand that issue has come up. And my understanding was that we had kicked that back to the planning commission to think about what we were.
It's gonna go back to
But,
them.
yeah, people are getting notices that they're gonna be fined and all that, and they're questioning, well, wait a minute, we thought we were on hold here until we,
Well, we haven't passed anything new.
No, but,
That's the old one.
yeah, that's the old,
our current law.
but they,
but I thought we said, let's not do anything new until we get something, not new, but
Yeah, right.
anything further until we get some kind of confirmation.
so are we enforcing?
Right now we are, and that's, I thought we were not going to do that.
That's what I'm
That's-
saying. I didn't think we were either until we got some kind of recommendation.
Well, there's a huge difference. Do you mean we're not enforcing in a proactive manner or complaints? Because if somebody complains,
we have to
you are
enforce?
obligated to
There's no-
enforce the laws on your books. You can't stay that law.
Yeah.
Well, then we need to do something.
But that's what I'm saying, like, so that's a huge difference to me. If somebody says, hey, look,
I have to find
I've
out.
complained about this,
Right.
you're obligated to go and enforce your code.
And the first time, I believe it was complaint-driven, which would drive me to think the second time was also
Yeah, I don't know if
complaint.
there's.
That's right.
Well, the first one was a complaint, and I think it was by an administrative agency, which followed up well. If you're gonna enforce against me, you need to enforce against everybody.
Which is a complaint.
Which is,
Right,
Yep.
right, which
So if
means
there's a complaint, you
then-
have to enforce.
Then, given the fact that these enforcement things are coming down no later, as I see it, than March, may I join in with Austin in saying we put this on our agenda to make a decision before the 1st of March? Because that's when I think enforcement actions,
Yeah, that's when the
deadlines
fines.
are taking place.
okay.
That it?
And can I ask again that when that happens, that staff please bring in photographs and examples from all over town of businesses that are gonna be compelled to remove their signs, whether they're liquor stores or they're beauty shops downtown, with their windows totally covered. If we could get that information, it would be very helpful.
Crystal?
I have two items. The first is, I'm sure some of you, just like myself, have gotten some complaints from folks about the current or the recent loss of a specific channel with Antietam, in which we have a franchise, agreement with. And, I think the unfortunate part is, we have a franchise agreement with that specific entity. The documentation associated with that is just simply it's complex. It's been reiterated a number of times, it's complex. But the other issue is, we are not one of the two parties involved in those negotiations between those two private businesses. And simply speaking, the intricacies associated with the negotiations between those two private businesses, maybe not have been shared with the public at large, as fully as the public may like, to be able to sort of, have an informed opinion on, why those two entities, didn't come to terms on that. And so, I certainly appreciate the comments we've received, but, we don't have something in our franchise agreement that says, we have a dictatorial role, over making them, come to terms.
Right.
The second is, for the first time I attended and I know this is embarrassing to say, attended the donut drop. I should have attended it before, but I didn't. So this is the first time, and it was a really good experience. I don't care that it rained, and if you've seen the pictures, my kids, would live in the rain if you let them. They were swimming around in the gutters as it started to pour at 7:01. They're animals. So it was good. So the drop happened, right at 7, and it felt like right at 7:01, it just
did.
poured.
It did.
I mean,
It
it literally
thundered.
7:01, the donut hit the bottom and the skies opened up.
Natural lightning,
It was like that movie, The Natural. So, but it was a good time. We sat there at Jerry's right in the window, and I know that they were slammed and hammered, and they did a real good job with everyone, and it was a really cool event. And that's for an evening that wasn't in the best weather conditions, and it was a packed place. So.
Oh, and just add one thing on the Antietam and WDVM issue. You can get WDVM really clear with a antenna, and you can go to Antietam Cable and they'll give you one if you were a customer when WDVM went off the air. So they're handing out HD antennas. Plug it in the antenna in, stick it on your window, and plus you get Grit and a couple other channels too.
Interesting. Just a couple of things. I was late today to executive session. Sorry about that. Our newly sworn-in congressman invited me to be his guest in Annapolis today, so I felt like I probably shouldn't turn that down. But I just wanted to say thank you to the congressman for inviting me down there, and it's nice to have a congressman who gets elected and doesn't forget about Western Maryland. I hope that continues for the next 2 years. Something I want to ask you guys about the council. I had met with a couple different providers around here with the homeless issue and addiction issues, and we had the issue with the people under the bridge, and just a lot of complaints that we're getting. I know I'm getting, so I know you are too, about the homeless in our area. And one thing that was brought up that would be very helpful is a resource list. A list of, because a lot of people don't know where to go. And we talk all the time how we have all these resources, but there's really no set website or set list you can go to find resources for if you're a homeless woman, or if you're a homeless man over the age of 65, or if you're homeless with a family, or same thing with addiction, same thing with people who need food or just different clothing. And so I emailed Scott Nicewarner to see if it would be possible for something that we could host as a city. We'd have a generic email address. The providers, if they want to be included on our master list, would email us, this shelter's open Monday through Friday, these times, and I serve this population of people. And we could have it would direct them to call that entity. Obviously, we would have nothing to do with it other than hosting, hey, if you need resources, here's a list you can go to that has a comprehensive overview of everything that Washington County has. So obviously, it's not something we can just do. I'd like to put it maybe on an agenda or have a discussion with you guys and see how you feel about that. I think it would be an easy step and a good step for us to do, to host that and to have that resource available to our citizens that need it. Because if people want help and they don't know where to get it, what do you do? So it would be easy access. I know the Homeless Coalition was thinking about doing something similar in a paper format, but let's be honest, paper, where do you go to get it? So I think a website, people have smartphones. We see them outside charging them all the time. So just an idea, and I'd like to get you guys input or an agenda or something.
I'd like to expand it out to other municipalities too, though, because I don't want to direct everybody to come downtown
Okay.
for these resources. I mean, there are resources, if you live in West Virginia, you don't have to come over to across the river. There are resources you can use there. I think if we did something like that, let's expand the radius out and as far as we can, that's realistic, and say, here in this 3-state area, here are your resources. If you live here, here's your closest shelter, your closest cold weather shelter and that type of thing, food pantry, rather than just direct everybody, hey, come on down.
Yeah. All right. Second.
Work session?
We could put down a work session.
Thank you. Second, New Year, we talked about Imagine Hagerstown today, so I would like to we discussed a marketing plan, and we've continued to discuss that, so maybe we can come, if it's Imagine Hagerstown or whatever, to go and do going forward as we go into this new year. And coming soon is the state of the city, and I think that we should start discussing some of the really positive things that we've accomplished in the last year. So our state of the city we can brag about the good things that are going on and really use that as an opportunity, since it's always very highly attended, to really showcase what we've done in the last year and moving forward. I just know that's coming up in like a month. I just saw something about it, so maybe we should start bullet pointing. I'm sure you're already working on it, but stuff that we're proud of that we really want to emphasize to our business community.
And where we're going, you know, focus on our vision.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's all I have.
Okay. On a solemn note, if you noticed the black bunnying around the entrance of City Hall, we lost former councilman Ira Kaufman recently. There'll be a viewing at Rest Haven Thursday evening from 6 to 8, and then a service Friday at 11 a.m. So if anybody wants to attend. So, what years was he?
He was here from 77 to 81.
Okay. All right. All right. Also, a huge thank you goes out to Public Works for taking care of the Pangbourne Boulevard underpass early this morning after it was tagged with some vulgarity. And then they went out and took care of it right away. So when I went by and checked it out, it was gone, painted over, and appreciate that very much. One of the things we don't have to have in the city. So, other than that, I had a great time at the donut drop too, even in the rain. We had someone who came from Dubai, who got the grand prize for traveling the farthest. A box of a dozen crappy donuts. Yeah, so it was good. It was interesting. It was fun. There was a lot of people, even with the rain. So, and having said that, then I guess we're finished for this evening, and we'll see you next Tuesday.